Hey there, Reverend Sully, Eric O'Sullivan, ordained on the internet. The caveat, as always, please do not burn your hands holding on to my hot takes. If you do, well, that's on you, pal. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Book Club. That's right, I am a huge science fiction fan. I love science fiction books, and I want to share with you perhaps a title or two that you may not have heard of that you could probably go out right now and pick up a copy. I usually love to read books on audible.com. I've got over 200 books in a decade of being an Audible subscriber. And I am a voracious reader and I love to read audiobooks, unabridged audiobooks that just for my walks. If I'm, I'm a chef, so if I'm alone and doing prep work, I will put in an audiobook, and that's how I spend my time. I also read a lot of books called the Great Courses, which are college lectures, and sometimes between 24 to 48 hours long on different subjects. I was turned on to this particular sci-fi book from a Great Courses series called Great Utopian and Dystopian Works of Literature by Pamela Bedore. In it, she goes down the list of different sci-fi books, and they don't have to be sci-fi books, but they were dystopian and utopian books. And it's turned me on to an entire list of books I hadn't gotten to yet. Specifically, We by Evgeny Zamyatin, and Those Who Walk Away from Omelas by Ursula K. Le Guin. It's the cost of utopia is usually at the expense of someone or something precious. And this book in particular, it's called The Water Knife by Paolo Bacigalupi. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Mr. Paolo. This was written in 2015, and I think it's really poignant. It's very powerful, and I think it represents perhaps the last great science fiction book of the previous age, before 2016, before the narrative was forced to change. This is a gruesome, horrific portrayal of what I'll refer to as almost tomorrow. It doesn't specify when this happens, but it's going to happen in the near future. I rip off this word almost tomorrow from a late 80s science fiction TV series called War of the Worlds, where in the second season there was a time that it was put in the future just a little bit, so it's not quite the future. It was billed as almost tomorrow in the title card sequence to signify that time has moved on just a little bit and things got worse. So I'm going to frame this and say that The Water Knife is set almost tomorrow, and it's set in the United States Southwest, and it has to do with what I feel will be the motivation for the upcoming crises in the days to come. And it's about water rights. It's about it's about potable water, drinkable water, the availability of it, the cost of it, what people do to get it and to maintain it and to keep control over it, but also water as a hydrodynamic, hydroelectric rather, source of energy. It's specifically about the Colorado River and about states' rights. At this point, states have become more insular. And remember, this was written in 2015. And there are three major characters. There's the Water Knife himself. He's a spy sent in to cut power and to cut water resources away from people. That's his job. He's an ex-soldier. His name's Angel, and he is. That's his job. He's not a good guy. He's an anti-hero, but he's got a conscience, and he's seen a lot. There's also Lucy Munro, who is a cis white woman, as we put it now, but she's a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist who's finding herself knowing a lot more about these water situations than she's comfortable with. And what is she going to do with this information, and how can she disseminate this information with such a a cloistered journalist with such, it's hard to put into words, I'm sorry, when her magazine doesn't allow her to publish what she knows. And then there is Maria Villarosa, who is the young heroine, who is she's a young woman of the 21st century, living, and she's an orphan, and she's got a sister that she has to look out for, and she does whatever it takes to get water, whether it be prostituting herself or or shooting someone, which comes later in the book. But the three characters eventually all meet and intertwine. But the point is that because of climate change, the world is getting hotter. What is going to motivate the next crisis? Is it going to be that the equator and the tropics are going to push populations north and south, and that's going to create living space crunches? It's going to create population crunches, and it's going to create a fight for natural resources, such as potable water, drinking water. And it's kind of like Star Wars prequels about, trade rights. Well, yeah, these are about water rights. And how about, like, Colorado will cut off the Colorado River from the southern states and portion out what they have, because they're going to keep their resources. They don't have to share. They're the source of these resources. And how individual states become like little city states, and and about power. And where is the power? The power is in creating hydroelectrics, and in creating sources of water. The water prices remind me of gas prices today, and it's going to get hotter. And just think about these southern states, our southern states at the southern border. I mean, it's going to get worse and worse, say in 30 to 40 years. People will literally be fighting over drinking water, one of the most common and precious resources. I feel blessed to live in the Northeast, where we have a winter, where we have a rain cycle, where we have an abundance of this resource. And being a coastal state, I live in Massachusetts, in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm not moving anywhere. I'm not going to move to Texas. I mean, I think it's a cute idea. You want your freedom and everything. Yeah, you're going to lose all those freedoms when it comes to the coming population crunch, when the porous border just opens up, because it will become indefensible. It's going to fall like Rome. Rome wasn't built overnight, but it burned in one. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, I got a bad sense of humor. And in this science fiction book, it's got some great sci-fi conventions. I love inventions. It has something called the clear sack, where you can put wastewater, your urine basically. You pee into this clear paper bag, and you squeeze it, and the membrane of the plastic bag filters out all the toxins and all the waste and leaves you with an amount of potable water. Like it's kind of like the still suit in Dune. And but this is an amazing story. It's harrowing. And also, it being written in 2015, it's not subject to the identity politics, the intersectional feminism, and just the sheer narrative change that was forced in all literatures after 2016, after the election, and after Me Too. This could quite possibly be the last great science fiction book of the previous age. Because everything now has to have some kind of agenda and some kind of it needs to be, thoughtful and nice. Well, great fictions often are harrowing, and often are brutal, and lend. It's like what Shakespeare said in Henry V: "Lend the eye." What's the thing? I should know this by heart. But it's like to lend to the eye, a really brutal view. This to me is about, this is going to be prescient. This is the prescient power of science fiction. And it's right here in this book, The Water Knife by Paolo Bacigalupi. And I got my copy on audible.com, and you can too. It's go ahead, give it a read. Tell me what you think. There are brutal torture scenes. There's victimization in there. There's a grape scene. You know what I mean? None of these things. We can't have violence against women in books anymore. Or in fiction. That was the narrative change, because, no more victims or something. I mean, sorry, but this book is about, we're all victims. We're all victims of this. We're all victims of the power structure. We're all victims of the inability to get potable water. We're all victims of the day and age that we're inherited. And there is no way out. There's only through. And there's only trying to get to a better place. And it's just, this book was very harrowing. It left a huge impression on me. And it really changed my mind through good fiction about what the upcoming crisis is going to be based on. It's not going to be based in identity politics or about, just about embracing alternative lifestyles, or in, just like all this rah-rah feel good about with people, or trying to reformat what you think. It's going to come down to something wicked basic, and it's going to be drinking water. And that's all I got for today. Check out The Water Knife by Paolo Bacigalupi, and it will leave a mark on you. It's going to torture you too. This is harrowing. It is not for the faint at heart. But it was thrilling. It had a good story. It had story beats. It had me enthralled. It had me... I'm going to read it again. And you could too. You know what? Give me a thumbs up if you like this kind of content. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't. Give me a subscribe if you could be so kind. I make cooking videos. I'm a professional chef. I'd like to give you some restaurant quality cooking hacks, giving delicious, nutritious, and beautiful food for you to share at your table with your loved ones. I'm also an ordained minister, an amateur theologian. I talk about spirituality a lot. And I'm a huge sci-fi fan. This is quite possibly, as I said, because of when it was written in 2015, before the needle was moved on the record, before the mandatory narrative change in editorial and publications. Because that happened. This book could not be written today. This book could not be as powerful as it is. This book is problematic. This book is troublesome. And God bless it, because it lends the eye a horrible aspect. That what awaits us. Because this is about what could and probably will await us with the coming climate change It's about water. Something that we take complete advantage of and something that we take for granted. God bless you. Thank you. Namaste. And read a book and give me a suggestion or two. I love to read. I'll take your suggestions. Cheers and God bless you. Thanks.